planning board meeting. Meetings last minutes have been distributed. Is there any comments, questions on the minutes? Yeah. I see none. Is there a motion to approve? Second. Discussion. No discussion. All those in favor? Is that
Aye.
Okay, next, is there any update on the treasury report renewal season?
Nope.
Any updates from your end on?
So the planner's report was distributed ahead of the meeting. There wasn't many changes from the last time we met. I think on that day, last time we met, we were informed that we are now in compliance with the MBTA communities. Thank you. How could I forget? I would like to hear from LA. The one thing that I did have in my report that came up as a question, consultant that we're working with on the West Up envisioning, was how to treat lot coverage versus building coverage in your bylaws. So in the zoning bylaw under dimensional regulations, there's and then in the lead up to the dimensional table, it mentions that, it comments as to what the dimensional table is supposed to control for, and that it mentions building height, lot width, it says lot coverage. In your lot, in your dimensional regulation table, the column does not say lot coverage. It says maximum coverage, including accessory buildings.
But you're speaking specifically about the part of the parcel or lot that is covered by the building, not driveway, just building.
But that's the question.
And typically, I think that was 30-something%.
Correct.
And the whole 10%, if you can't you have a 10,000 square foot lot, you can have a 7,000 square foot house.
Sure.
That's the idea of that coverage was the amount of use.
Oh, okay. So
That's how we looked at it.
so your interpretation of it was the same as mine upon reading it, which is the way that the table reads is that it's supposed to be building coverage, i.e. rooftop,
I believe so.
not in total impervious surface coverage, including driveways.
Right, that night going into conservation with the impermeable surfaces, there's all different formulas.
That's how I have been interpreting it. That's how the building commissioner has been interpreting it. When the question was posed, and it struck me.
Any comment?
Especially where it says including ADUs, it's kind of makes it sound like it's about the buildings.
I agree. Yeah.
The garages, any outbuildings. Any outbuildings that are kind of maybe sheds, chicken coops.
Yeah. If it refers to that, then that must be referring to.
To interrupt for a second, the air conditioning is on, and we have 2 people that have called in remotely, and I just don't know if they can hear or we have to use.
It's
the mic.
really hard to
Can't
hear
really hear
you even back here.
Okay.
You know what? Well, here, just
You want me to turn this fan down?
I'll turn it down. Yeah, it's gonna get hot.
Sorry, but
Would you rather hear me or at the fan up?
Yeah, this room is tough. It's because it really is, the acoustics are not great.
Is Margaret on the phone?
She is not on yet.
She is expected to be here.
She said she would be. Ask her if she's on yet.
Is that anything on the planning's report? I know it's sort of busy.
The only other thing of just specific interest that folks might be interested in is the next West Up envisioning meeting is July 30th. And that'll be 7 o'clock at the community center.
What's the one that's selecting holding? Not the 28th, right?
28th.
Yes.
28th is all boards.
And? Yeah. Picture on the select.
Yeah, that's it.
So if I may just for a second, so on the coverage thing on the chart, we're not worried about controlling the percentage of total coverage on the parcel? We're just worried about the building?
Planning board would be buildings. Total impermeable surface would be a
Would
drainage
be-
study.
Yeah.
They can't, before they would have to go to conservation. Parking part for that. Lots of stuff. We'd
Right.
probably ask for a drainage study for a parking lot.
So how do we control like the total development in the sense of, you have like a series of buildings, everybody comes in and just paves the entire parcel.
It's controlled by the percent that you can develop of that. You can't develop 100%. You can't put 100% of roofs on a parcel. It's designed to have 1/3 roofs building
Of the building.
and 2/3
Not the impervious surfaces, the parking lots, the driveways.
of that remaining 2/3. Right, it could be parking lot, it could be driveway of some kind.
I mean, so that's something that this board, if you want to consider in the future. I mean, I'm going to call it out to CMRPC because they're doing the zoning diagnostic, looking for these sorts of issues in the zoning bylaw. So I'll call out to them specifically, hey, we got table indicates building coverage, but the verb before it indicates lot coverage.
Change one or the other.
Change one or the other. But then if the, planning board can take the opportunity after that to decide if you want to change policy going forward, if you like restricting it to building coverage or you want to move to lot coverage. I mean, it's a lot to consider. I don't expect there to be a robust conversation about it tonight. The Conservation Commission does have a trigger of review that is a land disturbance permit that I believe is now triggered at a 1/4 of an acre, less, a 1/4 of an acre of any land disturbance requires a land disturbance permit from the Conservation Commission. So it's not as though that there are no controls to prevent the entire paving of, end to end, but yeah.
Right, okay.
See, you could do it, you would just be collecting water underneath it.
You'd be, the EP stormwater standards would kick in, right? And so you have,
Thank you.
I'm going to suspend the regularly scheduled meeting and open up a public hearing for,
Because Margaret said she's coming. Do we just want to?
well, just to open and close. We have
Okay.
3 members of the subdivision, so it's only a 3-member.
Oh,
Public hearing at East Street Estates. They have asked for a continuance until next meeting, would that be the 12th?
so it would be August 12th is the next regularly scheduled meeting.
And that'll be at 7:05. And the minutes for continue to 7:05 on August 12th. Are there any questions from East Street Estates before we move on? Okay, I will, not going to close it, but we'll reopen continue that public hearing, reopen the regularly scheduled meeting. And we have 3 public hearings in a row. They're listed, 3 different meetings. We have to hold them. Same with butters.
no, Margaret is waiting to be let in.
And
Not by me, just the server, wherever she is probably. Is she dialed in with her phone?
That's all I got.
before we open that, do we have, would we have a nomination for a member to the CMRPC delegate? We have a CMRPC delegate. All right, I would make a motion that we appoint Ken as the CMRPC delegate.
Second that?
Discussion? No discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Okay, Margaret, we have Margaret.
Margaret's not on yet. Not like this. Camera, I mean.
Apologize for the wait.
So I think Kathy's trying to get a hold of Margaret. See if she can join us. The issue is that we need a quorum for the public hearing, so we're waiting for another member to join.
I can't get her by phone. She said she would call in, but she can't get in. She's not in the waiting room.
Everybody else is in. I don't have anybody need to be let in.
And I can't text her. Go through.
And the rules are she could, she's required to perform. She could miss the meeting. It's called the Mullen Rule.
Yeah, so you have enough members present to open the public hearing and conduct business, but you couldn't vote because it's a special permit. You need at least 4 votes to.
So she would have to either read the minutes or attend, watch the,
The Mullins rule, which was enacted by town meeting, I don't know when, but a while ago here, allows for members to miss one public hearing and then they can catch up with the proceedings. Fortunately, we record our meetings, so they can do that via recording, audio, video, and or minutes and any other materials that are available in order to bring themselves up to pace.
give it a couple minutes. I mean,
Do the majority do Sawmill?
here one of them, Sawmill Brook Lane. Up to the front of the pack here, and that's an agreement between the town and Rural Construction. The construction, they did the new bond amount. That was the
They
Last time.
submitted the bond, there was a surety, backed by bank. And which one?
final 132 or something like
That
that.
was like 237.
That much.
It was for $227,651, and that was provided by United Casualty and Surety Insurance Company.
Is there a motion to accept the bond amount for 227,651?
So moved.
Second discussion? Discussion on the motion? Discussion.
The other, Mr. Chair, or May, the other item related to that is within the acceptance of the bond, the document H, I think it is, Lauren, do you want to put a date in there for final construction? There's a,
Generally, it used to be 2 years. I don't know if we can do that anymore.
oh, appreciate it. Margaret joined us. Okay, thank you.
Not sure we can do the limit. I think during the COVID days, that was taken away. And I don't know if it came back. We have limited to after 2 weeks only.
COVID extended permits that were granted between 2021 and 2023
To 27, right?
to 2027. But this is outside of that window, obviously. I don't believe that the governor made any rules relative to subdivision control at that point.
Any thoughts on the expiration date on the subdivision? He's pretty well far along. You generally could put a date if you had some stuff
A couple of years.
finished within, what we expect the project to be finished within 2
Calendar years from this date.
from today.
Okay, so we'll put that in. This is a smaller project. There is a disbursement schedule within that form. I would imagine that by way of putting in the 2-year timetable, we're not going to concern ourselves with an actual disbursement. But what is your suppose like you, Mr. Chair?
And it's not the smaller amount of money like the last one that didn't have enough to finish the project. That will be sufficient to finish the project should any problems arise.
Can you?
We have a car below, Margaret, thank you. Going to have,
Did we vote on this?
is there a vote to approve the,
Yeah, we made a motion.
All in favor, say aye.
A second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Yes, thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Is that
Appreciate
okay?
your statement, yes.
You can keep it. I got it. Thank you.
Right, so we're gonna suspend the regularly scheduled hearing and open up a public hearing for a large lot frontage reduction on Mechanic Street, 47, slot number 1. And then, we'll, this is the same abutters list for the second lot and the common driveway. Just have the applicable free, stop at the end of each one and open up the next one and ask any,
Why don't you eclipse me?
That's you.
Yeah, I'm over in a meeting.
and, barbecue,
Yes, I can push it.
if you would like to sit out in the audience.
Yeah.
We'll have to ask questions.
Okay.
Yes, there was an A&R plan, we'll have to find that at the end, I apologize.
Excuse me. Want me to explain? Screens?
Possible, I did print them all apart, but possible.
Mr. Chairman, I just want to make you aware that people aren't able to hear that are here by Zoom. I don't know if it can be addressed. Somebody just texted me that they can't hear anything.
Just if everybody could be sure to try and use the microphones from here on out.
What about the presenters? Is there a mic for presenters? Okay.
Yeah, there's one right here, and I have two over here. You see the button on that one, if everybody wants to speak, turn to green.
And ask if they can hear, how they notify you that they hand up or something, but once the,
Yeah, if somebody's on the Teams call, could you just unmute yourself and let us know if you can hear or not?
I can hear, thank you. It was just muffled.
This is Margaret. I can hear.
Thank you.
Mike Penkel, I can hear.
Aaron Snee, I can hear.
Brilliant. Good evening. Mark Allen with Allen Engineering and Associates. Can everybody hear me in Zoom land? Okay, that is a yes. You're right. I am here representing Amy Miller, who's in attendance tonight. She is the owner of 47 Mechanic Street. And before this board, as the chairman had indicated, we have 3 permits before you, of which those permits are 2 large lot reduced frontage by lots, and 1 common driveway. The parcel, I might do this by standing up, it might be easier. The parcel that is involved is a 22 acre parcel off of Mechanic Street that is basically surrounded by other residential uses and some open space areas. And the applicant had purchased the property back last year and came to us to see what we could do to do 2 possible building lots on the property. And as luck would have it, Upton has a bunch of tools in their toolbox. And in the toolbox, we had discussed with staff and with previous history that the path of least resistance, or the shortest distance between 2 points, would be to use the town's bylaws for the large lot reduced frontage as well as the common drive. Before you get tonight, and I do have some handouts for you. We do have a couple of images.
yes, please, keep the, on the first lot, we're only discussing lot 1 at a time.
Okay,
We're not discussing 2 or the common driveway, this is just
sure.
the large lot frontage, how it applies to lot 1.
Actually, before I get too far along, green cards and the certified abutters, I'll thank all of them as well. On your agenda, will be a satellite image that shows the retreat lots, or the large lot reduced frontage lots. The first of which being lot number 1, furthest most on the property. That property has 4.5 acres, 4.39 acres of property. It has the available upland area, it has the available width, it has the available frontage, and meets all of the criteria for the large lot reduced frontage parcel. The remaining pieces, which we'll get to, but this property has been divided up into 4 different parcels, 2 retreat lots, 1 conforming lot, and a remaining land to be not to be considered a buildable lot to the rear, which is about 11.5 acres of property. The applicant and Allen Engineering Associates have gone through extensive engineering on the property. We have done a full perimeter survey, researched all the properties surrounding the subject property, the 22 acres. We have had Goddard Consulting do all of the wetland resource.
You keep mentioning 22 acres. Your focus on this is lot 1, and
It's 4.5 acres.
it's application to the large lot reduced frontage bylaw. That's that I'd like to, because we're going to do the same thing for number 2.
Sure.
But this, you have to stick to lot 1 and not talk about the neighbor's land at this point. We're talking about lot 1. Everything else is outside
Sure.
property.
Sure.
It's outside the building zone.
Sure, absolutely. So what, on lot 1 itself, the wetlands have been mapped. They are shown there with the plant hatch, and it is also traversed by a gas easement, of which we've also been in contact with. So the topography, the wetlands, the soil conditions have also been evaluated on lot 1. We have done deep hole testing, we have done percolation testing, and have brought the engineering of that, lot somewhat to completion. But there is a process by which we go through permitting, and the planning board is generally first and foremost. So we do recognize that this board has, this permit in front of it, and we're looking for, action on this lot 1 reduced frontage lot.
Any questions, Lou? Any questions? Yeah.
Do you have can you demonstrate that you'd be able to put a subdivision on lot 1?
We have submitted material, and I think Michael just brought that up. We have shown that a subdivision can be shown on the entire, not the entire property, but the area of which is shown on the screen now, where a 4-lot subdivision could be built.
Margaret's question was lot 1. Have you shown that a subdivision can be put on lot 1?
We've shown it in the aggregate.
Well, but you're outside of lot 1. You're using the neighbor's property to build on lot 1.
No, this property is all owned by Mrs. Miller.
It's got a property line, then
The property line hasn't been recorded yet.
you have a plan here with a perimeter. You have a boundary line on lot 1. You have a frontage, you have a square footage, and you have a line of the property. It's going to be someone's address. That's going to be their home. That's the parcel. It has to show. You do not show subdivision plan on lot 1.
My gray hair shows that I've done a lot of work in Upton over the last 20 so years since this act has been adopted. I have 5 exhibits for you tonight. Our company has provided this board with multiple retreat lot applications, being 1 lot and 2 lot. I'm going to go through each one painstakingly to show you that this standard has never been held ever since we've been submitting these plans to this board.
What standard is that? Following the bylaw?
That you didn't follow the bylaw under 6.4. So I'm going to go through, if you will, Mr. Chairman.
One second. You've only got 2 things that you have to show me. One is that you can access through your frontage, and that you can put a subdivision up on at least 2 houses on the lot that you're asking for a large lot reduced frontage. You don't know either one.
I'm going to go through Exhibit A. Exhibit A was for 51 South Street for Carol Crocker. And if you see Exhibit
Well,
A,
wait,
I'm going to bring in the property.
So if we made a mistake, then you want us to make the same mistake
We
now.
made the mistake 4 times in a
So
row.
you want us to make it 5 times in a row? That's what you're asking me?
I'm just saying, we've never asked for this type of criteria. We've submitted the criteria in similar fashion over the last 20 years, the same exact way. So I'd like to
No,
show
I
you-
would, I'm sorry, but I have to disagree. We actually have asked for subdivisions on the lots that are being proposed as large lots. That's kind of the definition. We could put a subdivision on here, but instead we're gonna put one house. And that's how you're demonstrating to us that there's a benefit to the town,
Yes.
that you're only putting one house instead of instead of a subdivision with 4 or 5 houses.
Or 2 or more.
Correct. So let me just go through the exercise to show you. that
I'm not
these
sure I
were-
want to put everybody through that. If you cannot show, you can access through the frontage and potentially put up a subdivision on lot 1. You have not shown that. You have not submitted anything that tells me it's a reasonable expectation you could subdivide.
So I would like to enter this into the record, which I'm doing now, so that the peer review and town council can not only review this question, but other questions that are going to be forthcoming, of which one is going to be the access for a common driveway not coming off of your legal frontage.
We're not to the common driveways yet, but if you want to get there, where did you get the idea that we could put a common driveway on a non-conforming lot?
Correct.
And common driveways are on standard lots with standard width frontage. They are not meant for.
And this is why we are going through the process.
And read the bylaws on any of this stuff.
I've been working in town just as long as you have.
Excuse me. I'm gonna ask Tom, that you're the chair, that you acknowledge who's speaking and let people speak in turn. Those of us online can't understand the conversation if more than one person is speaking at a time.
Thank you, much appreciated. Go ahead.
Thank you. So Exhibit A, you'll see that the perimeter is shown in red. That perimeter of the property was then subdivided as an exhibit through this bylaw to show that a subdivision could yield 3 lots. And on top of that, in blue, you'll notice that in blue is the highlighted retreat lot. So this Exhibit A shows that that standard was not held. We showed the subdivision as a general yield of the entire property, what that property could yield. So that was for 51 South Street, Carroll Prior. Exhibit B, more recently, is for 108 Grove Street. That's the Linda Moore's project. In red, you'll see that the perimeter of the property was used in the overall yield of the development. That red yield showed 4 lots. And you'll notice that that yield goes through the conforming lot, not the retreat lot. So again, that's in direct contrast to what's been stated. Exhibit C is a subdivision where 2 retreat lots were signed up and approved by this board. Those were on Chestnut Street for Eugene Burnett. And that yield plan was drafted in 1989, 36 years ago, and sufficed as to check the box of what could possibly be yielded for a subdivision. Likely that subdivision back in 1889 didn't have the same zoning requirements, wetland requirements, buffer zones and whatnot, but that held the standard to which this board accepted the yield plan. Exhibit D is really closest to what this application is. This application was for 2 retreat lots next to the Red Farm Golf Course off of Fowler Road. We applied to this board for 2 retreat lots. And what we did is we showed 1 cul-de-sac off of Fowler Road, not on each of 2 cul-de-sacs side by side for these retreat lots, but we showed 1 cul-de-sac right down the middle of the 2 retreat lots to show that the yield could have been 3 lots. But actually, we had 2 lots, and that was improved in that fact. Exhibit E is tonight's plan. And tonight's plan shows the perimeter and the cul-de-sac, again, as an exhibit, showing that overall yield can be a 4-lot subdivision. In addition to this exhibit, I'm going to let Amy speak for a moment here. We were handed, when she purchased the property, a 5-lot scenario that was drafted without engineering, without topography, without wetlands. But she has a plan that she'd like to submit tonight to show you that a 5-lot subdivision had circulated through the town before she bought the property. So I want to bring up Amy just briefly to
So, I first started, looking at this property in February of 2024 and made, numerous offers, but the owners hadn't, we couldn't have a meeting of the minds. So I stepped back, but when, in doing my due diligence, this is what was presented to me. Where's there, sorry, as what was potential to develop the land. So it would be open space wanted, this backland, which I know it's just landlocked, it won't be built on. But it was taking down the original house, putting in a cul-de-sac, and you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 new houses sitting right there on Mechanic Street. One of the reasons I love this property is for what it is. The little house I only wanted to use for a couple of years, but we got into it and it was very unsafe electrically. So if you go by there at all, you'll see, I've tried to keep it looking as much as it did. We had to raise the windows and I put the same flat garage on because the garage fell in. And in keeping, with the land, that was my idea when Mike brought up, oh, well, we have this reduced LLRF, thank you. I can do that. That might work because I didn't even want the houses to be seen from the road. I want it tucked in, protect the environment, protect everything that's back there. That's wonderful. That's the reason I bought the property. Okay, so here's a conceptual that was put out by the county of 5 lots.
Just for the chair, for clarity. I know that an appraiser, when the lot was for sale, was in contact with my office, and that's probably, how they arrived at this. With again, what Mr. Allen was saying, with no engineering and wetlands delineation or any of those to help inform an actual subdivision that would be conforming. So I don't, Phil, I don't do the chair. This wasn't a town document though, right?
Well, I believe we had that property appraised from conservation.
I believe that was generated by the appraiser.
Right,
It's to market the property.
What was the highest and best use from the appraiser?
probably what's shown on there. It's been years since I looked at the appraisal.
But can I just say, Mike, that plan was offered by Open Space as an, granted no engineering, but here's an option of what we think you can do.
That's
No,
fine.
no,
Well, through the chair, I just wanted to make it clear that it's not as though the planning board had any input onto that plan.
Understood.
And it was not proved or a foregone conclusion of it. It's a due diligence exercise that appraisers do.
So I'm looking, this says that the conceptual layout of a subdivision was the highest and best use of the property. There's a subdivision layout. And we through with lot 1. I want to close that public hearing and then suspend the regular meeting again and speak on lot 2.
Before you close the public hearing, you might want to hear from the butters if anybody else wants to speak. on
Was
it.
there any other questions or anybody online here? Any other questions on lot 1?
I'm not sure this is on.
Hi there.
This
Oh,
is
go
Tom
ahead.
Dawes, Mechanic Street. I noticed the plan that showed the riverfront. It didn't look like it had the riverfront accurate down at the southeast corner.
Share the screen.
So at that very southeast corner, the brook actually runs by that. Not on, I guess it's not on lot 1. And if you want me to wait, I can wait.
In a few minutes. Any other?
Is that lot 3, the bottom?
It is.
All right. I'm bringing up lot 3.
And putting a lot 1. Right, close this public hearing and.
No.
Excuse me, can you hear me?
Yes.
You can, sorry, before you close this, I am the direct neighbor that abuts, Amy Miller on the, at 43 Mechanic. And, you know, obviously that this land is directly behind mine. And if anything, I have been, you know, grateful for her vision and what she wants to do to this land, as it really, truly seems to preserve as much of the land and wildlife and privacy as we possibly can. And so I just want to make this clear that, you know, as the person that is directly beside her, where it probably impacts the most, I am truly in favor of what she has put forth to the board. So I just want to make that known to you all.
Thank you very much. Al?
My name is Alan Rosenfield. I've lived in this town for about, my gosh, about 37 years. I've been involved in boards, much like your current members and such, and I live directly across with my wife from this particular property. I don't see how this isn't appropriate what the owner of that property wants to do. I don't think that it's going to impact traffic, the neighborhood in any way that requires something different than what's being proposed to this board. I say this respectfully. I appreciate Madam Planning Board Member for reminding the chair not to be elevated and come across in such a way. It's not easy to be a chairperson. All right. And again, my wife told me to be nice, so I'm being nice in what I'm saying. She's on Zoom, so she knows what I'm saying.
Finally listening.
I am in favor of this. If there was any concern, you know, my personality would know that I'd be up here screaming at something. So again, I hope that ultimately the board and those that vote allow this to happen. It's not going to be a traffic issue. It's not going to be an issue that's going to affect at all, in my opinion, nature, and the property owner, in my opinion, has the right to develop appropriately the property that she owns. And I am in favor of it for whatever it means to you.
I'm Kathy Dodd, 33 Mechanic Street. Lived there at 33 for 28 years, I think. And I know the wildlife, I know this. I know what happened to our property, our trees, when Reed did the big heavy timber cut. And a lot of our trees were blown down by it. And it opened up the canopy, and it impacted our property, even though they didn't touch our property. And so my concern, it does change the environment no matter what you do. You might on paper see like that house and, oh yeah, okay. And all the trees, you're thinking, oh, all the trees will be preserved. No, they won't. And they'll have to put in wells and septic and all that. It's going to be a heavy impact. Everybody here is thinking, oh, well, because, you know, the setback from the brook and all that. And the lady who's just on there, you're going to be looking right into your windows, because when they develop a lot, it's going to be a huge impact to the environment. It's painful for me to get up and even think about this and talk about this, because I know the wildlife that's back there. You know, there's wood turtles and all kinds of things that are special. That whole area is in an ACEC, which nobody seems to really take into consideration. And my big concern is, yeah, you have the right to do this, and you could even go even further with it all. But why, if you're keeping it in your family, why spread it all out? You know, why can't your family live like clustered together closer? And then, I don't know, it just seems like the way you're doing it and putting in the drive is heavy impact. And then it's just, I don't know, that's my feeling. I just had to get it out there, and just so that you know that it's going to be a heavy impact
even no matter how hard you try. You don't know who you're bringing in. If you're gonna have a developer come in and they're gonna just go in and do whatever they do. They don't take into consideration, as long as they're inside where the, like erosion control is, that's all they care about. You know, they're abiding by the DEP and the erosion control, and they can do whatever the hell, they can cut all their trees that are on your property. We could do the same thing on our property, and you could be staring at 40B. If you cut all those trees and you don't keep like a bunch of trees around you, that could happen. And I'm not saying I want to do that, but if we sell, that could happen. And I don't want that. To me, this is a heavy impact to this land. Not as bad as the 5 lots, but that's all I'm gonna say. I won't keep going.
Any other questions or concerns on lot 1? Seeing none, I'm going to close.
Well,
the public hearing.
excuse me, can, Mike Panko, I just want to say a couple things, please. Is that possible?
I was meeting at the head close.
Can you hear me?
Go ahead.
Okay, well, the conservation administrator sent a letter to the planning board. I hope you've all had a chance to review it, or will, before you make any decisions about this subdivision plan. Is there any chance you could show the figure that was attached to that letter?
I'm sorry, Mike, say that again?
Is there any chance you could display the figure that was attached to the letter from Mary, the conservation administrator?
I uploaded onto the documents.
The last 2 pages.
Yep. Okay, with here.
Yeah, that's it right there. Thank you. So,
You want to talk about this or that?
yeah, the figure. Yeah, one of our comments is, or at least, the commission hasn't voted on this letter, but one of the comments is we'd like the applicant to consider expanding the size of the remaining land parcel somewhat, and reducing the size of lots 1 and 2, to consider doing that. Much of that shaded area really has little development potential, but it is priority habitat. Also, it's riverfront and it has wetlands. So I think what we'd like the applicant to do is to basically reduce the size of lots 1 and 2 and increase the size of the remaining land, with the understanding that someday the remaining land would probably be protected as open space one way or another. I think this comment kind of dovetails with Kathy Dodd's previous comment about trying to minimize impacts to wetlands and forests and resources. Mass Natural Heritage will have to weigh in on this plan. Most of the disturbance, except for a small area near Mechanic Street, is priority habitat for wood turtle. But anyway, I'd just like the applicant to consider changing or increasing the size of the remaining land parcel to protect more habitat. And again, the letter is written by Mary, our administrator. I had some input on it, but the entire commission hasn't voted on it yet. So commission doesn't meet until tomorrow night. But I wanted the planning board to consider this information.
Thank you, Mike.
All right, thank you.
So again, just to the prior speaker who lives on Mechanic Street, again, if she wants to sell her property for a 40B, God bless her, let her do whatever she wants. It's property that she owns. She can try and get that through. This person owns this land. This person is looking. The prior speaker just talked about maybe increasing the lots up from the 2. They just want to add 2 additional lots to this, not 5 lots. So if I just may finish, again, I respect their rights as property owners, and the prior person said how developers just go crazy. I guess she feels that nobody can watch them. We have a building inspector that would be watching this entire project, and if anything went off track, the building inspector would take care of it legally for the community. So again, I can't state any stronger that for whatever it's worth, I, as a person living across the street, who very well may be impacted greater than anybody as a neighbor of this property, I believe that these people have a right to develop their land consistent with what the requirements are. So to talk about something about affordability is irrelevant, but I guess that's how she expresses herself. And to say, well, maybe build additional units, but closer, to the main home or whatever. They have a right to build where they want to build on their property. This is called America, and this is called Upton, the last that I heard.
Thank you, but just one thing, if they're within a certain distance of a perennial stream, they don't have the right to build within a certain distance.
Consistent with what the laws are and what the requirements are.
I'm just saying,
Mr. Chairman.
I know this is America, but America has laws, and one of the laws is if you have a perennial stream, you have to have a certain setback from that stream, and the stream has to be shown on the plan. That's all conservation was referring to. All right, I'm going to close the public hearing, suspend the meeting, and open the public hearing for lot number 2. Right ahead.
Procedurally, is it adequate to close the public hearing without hearing more information to make at the next meeting? Would you continue the public hearing? Closing, you can't accept any-
I can't hear you. If someone could talk back into the mic, please.
1 second, please. Is there any objection from the board to closing the public hearing?
I couldn't hear any of what just was said. And if it's closing the public hearing on lot 2, that again is what directly impacts my property. And so I'd like to hear what was just said.
She's referring to it.
Yeah, the applicant is suggesting that we don't close any public hearings tonight, and that it allows the peer review to submit additional material to the board for future hearings, and maybe town council may weigh in on an issue or two. I just think it's a little premature to close the public hearing at this juncture.
Is there any objection?
I would,
This is Margaret. I have no problem keeping the public hearing open as we're going to be receiving further information. But, generally we do just close the public hearing and then receive written information. But if you'd like to keep it open, then I have no problem with that, so that we can ask further questions.
I do not believe that there is any information that we're going to receive that doesn't change the filing. If we close the public hearing, all of that work can be done after the public hearing, and we won't try to hit a moving target, keeping the public hearing open and, review after review. I think we do it in one shot. We close the public hearing, and then we open up the next one. Is there any objections to that?
I don't object to keeping the hearing open.
All right, lot 1, public hearing is closed. Lot number 2.
No, that's not what I said. I respect their request, and I will keep the hearing open
What's the purpose of keeping the hearing open?
so they can present additional information.
If we have additional questions after the review, we can ask for additional information. I have no problem keeping the public hearing open either.
What's the rule? Chairman?
So
close the
we
public
can
hearing?
continue, continue the public hearing to a date and time certain.
I mean, I'd have to refresh my memory on Robert's Rules of Order on that particular procedural issue. I know
Chairman opens the meeting and the chairman closes the meeting.
there typically votes.
There has to be a vote to close a public hearing, Tommy.
Where does it say that? All right,
I don't
wanna
have my
argue with you.
Robert's rules here, but
We will leave we will continue the public hearing until 7:15 on August 12th. Reopen the regularly scheduled meeting, suspend that for lot number 2. Go right ahead.
Lot number 2, obviously a much lot number 1. In similar fashion, we have a reduced frontage lot in front of you. Lot number 2 is directly behind house number 43. it would be centrally located in the rear of the property. In addition, or in similar fashion, the riverfront area, the wetland delineation and the floodplain associated with Warren Brook have all been contemplated in the future design of lot number 2. Very little has changed, very similar applications.
Any questions on lot number 2?
Can I just speak one? Oh, no, ask the question, please.
I want to mention that this is Tom Dodd again, that lot number 2 is that's where the cursor is right now?
Yes.
All right, so my question is about the riverfront, 200 foot. The brook goes right by the southeast corner. And if you looked at the plan that had the markup for the riverfront, it looked like it was ignoring that.
People of the color plan, I think you had it earlier, riverfront was blue, horizontal, now it's black.
Yeah, so that, the southeast corner point is right where the brook goes by.
So what we would have to do, if I could, Mr. Chair, in order to address that, the riverfront area wasn't, or the mean annual high water mark wasn't on the subject property. We would have had to have flagged it on a butter's property.
We can't hear. Can you please be sure to use the mic?
So that southeast corner where the riverfront may lie and absolutely, could be within 200 feet of the Warren Brook. We were unable to flag that portion because it was not on our subject property. If we could utilize in the future, again, maybe a revision to a plan to estimate where that edge could be, or we could ask the abutter to get on site to flag that area off site, we'd be more than happy to do so.
Mr. Chair, so I think that property is a tax taking. And so I don't know how that figures
You're
in.
talking about the property that's designated out in Tibby.
It is, yes.
So you have to talk to the treasurer and the assessor, but I think it's not town-owned land.
Okay, so it might be easier access. More than happy to look into that for you. And I think we're very comfortable that, we'll be able to keep 200 feet from that edge of bank.
Thank you. Other questions on lot 2?
I just wanted to say, I totally get your concerns. And I'm the developer. I did this in Sudbury 30 years ago, and we did 2 lots and asked for a common driveway. They made us do a wetlands replication and a 60-foot cul-de-sac that they came and sprayed oil and everything and ruined the wetlands. So I am really sensitive to what overdeveloping can do to property that also goes down the stream. So I'm not parceling this off to somebody. This is my project. And so I bought it because of what's there. I live in Vermont. It's all about the wildlife. So I don't want clear cuts. I don't want, I'd be happy to walk with you too and show you the house lots like I did with the neighbors next door. You can't see them because they're old, the way that the hill goes down. But I totally get your concern. I appreciate that.
If I could, Mr. Chairman, also just kind of reiterate, we are trying to be as environmentally sensitive on lot 2 so as to not create a driveway to going back to lot 1. And the third hearing will sort of push that process, but the intention is to be as minimally invasive to the environment as we possibly can. We recognize the nearby wetlands, riverfront area, and wood turtle endangered species zone, and creating 2 driveways at this length, 500 plus feet twice just seems a bit egregious and unnecessary. And the reason why we're here to not do 2 long driveways and just do 1 common driveway.
Any questions about lot 2?
Mr. Chair, just a comment, I guess, on leaving the lot 1 open. I would maybe take up the landowner's offer to visit her property. That would be
Please.
great. And so I don't know if we'll have any comments after that visit for the August meeting, so.
Yeah. No, and I did send a letter around to everybody saying, please, contact me and let's walk it. But I'm happy to do it now. I'll give you my card and let's do it.
Thank you.
I will say that I did get a chance to walk the property with Amy, and I live at 43 Mechanic, right next door. And she's absolutely correct that the grade of the land is such forth that it was, it went down. I do not think that based on the way that he plans to build, that it will impact us or we will see it. And again, this would be directly behind us. So if there's anybody that would be, against it, you'd think it would be us, but we're not. We're absolutely okay with it. And I appreciate Amy's openness and willingness to work with us on that. So
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? I will continue this public hearing to August 12th at 7:20. And it's open a public hearing for a common driveway application for 47 Mechanic Street.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Before you tonight is a common driveway application in association with Article 6 of this Upton zoning bylaws. Article 6, Section 306.1 has a provision for common driveways. The common driveway is being requested tonight to serve both lots 1 and 2. The common driveway would cross over the existing gas line easement and would terminate at the end of the first lot. And the termination, we've supplied the board with a waiver not to do a 100-foot diameter cul-de-sac, but yet a 30 by 20 hammerhead turnaround. So in your file, you'll notice one waiver from the strict rules and regulations of section or Article 6, and that is to provide a hammerhead turnaround. This, again, we foresee being sent out to peer review, sent out to EMS, police, fire, DPW to weigh in on this waiver request, or another reason to keep these meetings open. But that terminus is about 400 feet off of the location of Mechanic Street. The beginning, station 0+0, if you will, is at the exact location of where the driveway is for 47 now, you'll see that. And the intention is to tee up a new driveway for number 47, so it's exactly across from Meadow Drive and not creating any sort of turning moving conflicts with the new common driveway. The common driveway has certain regulations that you have to meet. It has to be 20 feet wide of pavement. It has to have a 3-foot grass shoulder on either side. It has to have 24 inches of processed gravel underneath it. And it has to be adequately marked as not a public way. All of these items have been designed in such fashion. On this sheet, you'll also notice that a profile is shown of the grades. It's a very gentle grade. It's about a 2% slope up from Mechanic Street to where we have to cross the gas easement. That gas easement we've been in contact with. We have to adhere to their regulations. We can't do a cut along the gas easement. So we've designed it to be at or slightly above the existing grade over the gas easement. And then it falls gently to about 3.5% towards the end of the common driveway portion. And as has been stated earlier, each of these 2 house lots have been sited as such to avoid the steep slope and to be put on a relatively flat area of the parcel. We just want to reinforce that. Some of the reasoning behind doing the common driveway is that a subdivision obviously would be more intrusive and more environmentally damaging. The 20-foot wide would go to either 24 or 26 feet wide without waivers. It would absolutely require a bulb cul-de-sac turnaround. It would require sidewalks without waivers. It would require a full 50 feet of clearing, a swath of clearing. So we feel as if this common driveway
does two things. One avoids a larger subdivision impervious area and avoids two side-by-side parallel driveways of exceeding 400 feet in length, which is, again, just not what Amy is looking to do on this property. She's looking to minimize. And as far as timing goes, the construction of the common driveway would be done sooner than later. And then in the future, for lot 2, that's more an estate thing down the line. So I don't believe she anticipates on building out lot 2 immediately, but this is more for an estate planning to have that second lot on the books. Some discussion arose when we made the application, made the filing, as to why not just do a subdivision. And I just wanted to mention to the board that the straightest distance between 2 points, shortest distance is a straight line. We feel as if the straight line is the common driveway for 2 houses and not a subdivision. The subdivision that I have here is about 66 pages, and I've tabbed off 33 waivers that would need to be granted from this planning board, which, working in town for quite some time, it's very difficult to prove that you need or you were allowed to get a waiver from a subdivision regulation. So we feel as if doing a subdivision would do 2 things. One, it would create permanent street frontage for somebody after Amy, and that's permanent street frontage could be cut out for other lots in the future. And it would also require 33 waivers to get it down to the scenario you see in front of you. So in your toolbox, you have 4 pages for a common driveway and large lot reduced frontage, and you have 63 pages that would need 33 waivers to get a subdivision with waivers approved. It's like cutting a piece of paper with scissors versus a chainsaw. You'd have to dismember that chainsaw to make it look like a pair of scissors to cut the paper. So we feel as if this is the straightest line for permitting is the common driveway, and is the least impactful to the environment in the surrounding area. Thank you.
Just one question. When we wrote the common driveway bylaw, we never intended it to be on anything other than a standard width frontage. The standard lot, I never anticipated common driveway to be used for a large lot reduced frontage. It was intended for standard width frontage. What's your answer to that?
So we had asked upon submission whether or not we should get an opinion from the town council. The planning board is a special permit granting authority for both permits, all 3 permits that are before you tonight. The planning board has usually the right to waive any sort of requirement. It is not specifically enumerated in Article 6, Section 306.1, that the planning board has the right to waive any of the particular requirements. So we had asked Michael to maybe ask town council for their opinion as to whether it's just inherent that the special permit granting authority has the right to waive that access through the frontage, or whether or not a zoning board of appeals determination needs to be made as a condition of approval from this board. This board has the permit authority to issue both permits, common driveways and large lot reduced frontage. Just for some reason, it hasn't been, and maybe it was an oversight, that it doesn't give you the right. In your subdivision rules and regulations, this board has the right to waive any requirement in the subdivision rules and regs. For some reason, that wasn't written out in Section 306.1. So, excuse me. Our opinion is we need town council to weigh in on whether it's inherent that the planning board can waive it via a vote, or whether or not the zoning board has the authority to grant that waiver.
Town council going to be voting on this?
No, it just weighs in.
Then I think you're worried about what the planning board says and not town council. Okay. Are there any other questions on the common driveway? I see none. I'm going to continue this. Also to. Is there any person on the phone before we start, Margaret, or anybody on the line?
No, I don't have any questions on this part.
Hi,
Thank you.
I have a question. Can this common driveway, once it's in, be used as a drive to, or expanded if they wanted to do the stream crossing and build on the other side?
Yeah.
Great question. I'd love to take it.
I'm saying that when I bought the
Absolutely.
property,
It's difficult.
I
when
went to Concom and she said, I don't buy this if you say think I'm ever gonna let you go across the street. You know, really. So
But
if,
if you, the next person down the line.
Yes, if I could, I do have, I think the answer you're looking for. If you do the common driveway and the two large lot reduced frontage bylaws, it cuts out that extra land as to never be further subdivided. If you do a subdivision, you create frontage that you could possibly do, you could create lots off of future frontage. The large lot reduced frontage says that the parcels that get approved via special permit can never be then subdivided thereafter.
Okay, we're talking about a common driveway here. Let's keep the questions to the common driveway. Any
But
questions?
that's also true of the common driveway. I mean, you can't, the common driveway does not provide frontage for a further subdivision.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. And we're going to continue this public hearing to August 12th,
Mr. Chair,
30.
but before you do that, what would you like for information regarding really all three of these applications before you?
I don't know.
Okay. But specifically, with the common driveway, you as the board received a fee for peer review. Would you like me to get a scope and fee for a peer review to have the common driveway peer review?
I don't need it. Does any of the board like to have it done? No, there's no need for this.
We're sending the lots out for peer review, I assume.
That's my question as well, too. I mean, you'd have.
I mean, I feel like, are we sending the entire thing out for peer review, you know, as a packet, as three applications?
Through the chair, you do not institute a peer review fee for the large lot frontage reduction applications. That's not a part of your fee schedule, but the peer review is a part of the common driveway. So if you were to request a peer review, which is your right as a board, if you feel like that's what you need in order to make a decision, you just need to navigate that with the applicant as far as getting a peer review and appropriate.
I do not believe we need a peer review for the common driveway. All right, anything else?
Would you like me to reach out to boards, fire department, police department, or anyone to get specific comments? And obviously Conservation Commission already opined via the conservation agent.
They've got a month to respond.
Okay, I'll send it out to everyone.
Meetings continued to 7:30 on August 12th. And the regularly scheduled meeting is resumed.
Mr. Chair, we had an A&R that we unfortunately skipped over at the head of the meeting.
Do you have the A&R? We can do that now. Oh, here's trouble.
Okay.
Excuse me, but if you're speaking, can you make sure you're speaking into the mic so that those of us online can hear?
This is a frontage lot. You have it on the screen.
So. Years ago, my neighbor built. There was some drawers in the back of the session. Breaking off a lot here, you guys might remember it. Came out, went around his-
The mic that is in the middle of the table doesn't seem to work. There's no sound coming in through.
I'm trying to cover now.
Okay.
No, we had skipped over.
I hear Tom.
All right. So, 2.5 years ago, I bought a lot from Bill in between here. Right? So Bill, my next door neighbor, he sold me the rest of the lot. So I'm taking this lot Up and down here, around here.
It's still not working. I'm not sure which mic isn't working, but I think one of the mics on the table must not be working. Because there's no sound coming through on the table mics.
Bring them all over to the middle.
I can show you the current configuration.
I don't hear that tapping at all, Mike, when you're tapping on those.
You don't hear that at all?
I hear you now.
You can hear me now? Okay.
Yeah.
So just, if you could just speak right into the microphone. I know it's very uncomfortable.
Sorry.
Okay.
Can you introduce yourself too?
Yeah.
Thank you.
My name is Ken Warren. I live at 90 High Street. Right? And we purchased that property back in 2015. And a couple of years ago, 2.5 years ago.
Just do what you want to do.
Oh, I got it. That's good.
Can you guys hear?
So my next door neighbor had an oversized lot and I had an oversized lot. So 2.5 years ago, he carved out a lot from his in between ours and my wife and I bought it. And just in the last 4 months, he moved to the other side of town and I bought the rest of his property. So what this is this is the beginning of carving up the 2 lots. It's zoned SRA and it transitions into SRD in the back. Yeah. So what I've done is I've taken a lot that was approved by the board a few years ago as it was a non-conforming lot, and that it had plenty of frontage, but it didn't have the acreage, and the house was approved to sit behind the point where the lot pinches to less than 80%.
Sorry, but that you gotta hold it, I think, a little closer to your face, friend. It's hard to hear up here.
So this is the existing configuration. I'm looking to change for this. So he has a 100, there's a 100 frontage that he broke off of his 340.
It needs to be even closer, believe it or not. Thank you.
I can ask a question on the existing garage. Was that belong to?
So that belongs to, I'm waiting to say.
What lot does it belong to?
So it's going to be in what's called parcel B. So eventually I'm going to take this, comes over to mine and my wife's lot here, along with this parcel here. And we're going to incorporate it into our lot until I can move forward with this part of the project. And then I'm going to look to subdivide this further. So we're coming back to it. If you look at the total frontage that we own now, it's 5.1 acres with an SRA zoning. You have 506.9 feet.
You are actually, you can go 30 feet into
Yes.
the more restricted zone.
Yes.
ED in this case.
It's still, keep the acreage for A, right? So I was aware of that because I pulled the permit for my house, I mean, now, I had that discussion with Pat.
All right, so you got your driveway,
So the driveway,
you got your buildable area.
yes, sir.
You got your frontage and you got your square footage.
Yes.
The lot 1. Why does it say 1R?
I don't know why they did that. They did 1 R and 2 R. I know.
So number 1. All right, so number 2, you're going to cut off this garage from number 2?
Yes.
Are you taking this garage down?
I'm taking that garage down.
I don't know that there's any rule that says you can't have a garage on a parcel.
It's part of the.
It doesn't explicitly say that in your bylaw. It would, what'll happen is that through merger, they'll, even if you draw the lot line, it'll be treated as one still. So in zoning, when you have a zoning violation.
It's contiguous, and if it's in
And
the
if
same,
it's contiguous.
if it's in the same ownership, and it's attached, and it's in the same zone, they have to be in the same zone, they have to be the same owner, and they have to be,
It would be treated as one for zoning, so I suppose that would still conform. But you could not sell it off, because then it would become an issue.
So currently, I'm over here all the time and access it. I have to come into it from my house. House is over here. So eventually, the full picture of where I want to go with this. We'd like to split these two lots off now because I'm dying to sell this house that I bought. And then I'm gonna move it serially to put a building up here. And at some point down the road, there's 100 feet here, and there's another 107 feet here. 107 feet will be for my current home with 60,000 square feet of area.
where's lot 15? Where's map 15, lot 46?
Right here.
All right, so this is that,
Yeah.
and B is to be held with that,
See, what happened,
according to the general notes.
what happened, Mr. Chairman, was they laid this out for me and they had this at 140 feet. And I said, I asked them not to do that because I need this 40 feet later on so I can have 100 foot of frontage there and 100 foot. So I asked them, so that's, they just wrote it off and called it. And I'll be coming back to the board at some point, probably a couple of years down the road, and asking to create a lot here, which is all wetlands. So what I want to do is I want to access over here to avoid the wetlands completely. I'm going to get right away coming up here. I'm just going to come over and I want to put a house right here, probably more than 30 feet away, Mr. Chairman, from the demarcation line from A to D, so it will have to be 60,000 square feet. And there's plenty of acreage there to be able to do that.
I would caution you on, make sure we know the rules on being able to access
Okay, thank you.
back there.
What is the frontage requirement for this area?
It's A is 100, but if you're gonna put something in the D,
Yeah.
then I'm not so sure the 100 feet of frontage is gonna be. I'm not so sure you can put a house beyond the zone and not claim the frontage for it.
To recall a conversation I had with Pat at the time, I bought my current 100 foot of frontage. Said, this was he was the zoning officer, and that's why I went to him and asked. He said, if you're in this area, you need 100 foot of frontage, but once you get 30 feet beyond this demarcation line of the building, then you need 60,000 square feet because you're in D for your lot size. That's how he explained it to me.
That's what I thought.
He said, if any part of the front of that building is within 30 feet of that, then you're good. And right now, my house is way back, so I need 60,000 square feet when I laid this off. Was that the concern you were?
But it isn't just the 60,000, now you need the 180 feet of frontage as well. Well, 60,000, maybe 210 feet of frontage. If it's in zone D, that would be 60,000.
Yeah.
And 210 in frontage. So I'm not so sure you can use the frontage requirements for zone A and the building requirements of the zone.
Yeah, so that's how it was explained to me when I felt like. Okay.
And you can obviously, you can take a house, enough room to put a house. I'm just not sure.
Yeah.
What would be waived, what would have to be Supreme Board of Appeals, what would be.
Sure.
Wouldn't this be a good place for large lot frontage reduction? I mean, seriously.
Perfect.
Yeah, perfect for it, because then you can reduce that and you can build back here.
Yeah.
So,
You do have a rule somewhere in here about lots that split zoning.
well, this is further down.
Yes, that's down the road. So what I'm interested in doing is defining these two as SRA lots.
So you're cutting out these two new lots, there'll be, there'll be one addition, there's already a lot here, right?
Yeah.
And you're creating one additional lot.
Yes.
And
Actually, this was a lot, and I just changed the shape of it.
Because I cut this amount.
It's, for us, it's more like adding a house.
Okay.
We're adding one house or two.
Yeah.
You're adding a house. You already got a house, you're
Sure.
adding one. And the difference is, yeah, just it's $100 for that one. And if you change this one around, so
Yeah.
that's a new one, so it's $100 per lot.
Yeah, so we received a check, I believe, for the one lot and the parcel.
I need to send you another check.
No, you already submitted the.
Oh, come on, he's offering, he's offering.
Any questions?
New fiscal year.
Questions for the board?
Nope,
Sir.
seems pretty clean to me.
Motion to approve?
So moved.
I'll second it for discussion.
Can you have my laptop?
Yeah.
Here.
Oh, okay.
All right, all those in favor of approving these two lots? Margaret?
Aye.
Raise your hand.
Aye.
Magic pen house? Where's your signature? One. Your last one.
Of what's there?
That one. One up at the front, that's it, no chicken.
You decided to like this?
You can take this to the deeds office and have it recorded. And so, the next step for you, I would imagine, is having a new deed created. That needs bounds based off of this.
The next step for you is that
Yes.
we're going to take this and put one copy to the town clerk.
Okay.
And give a copy to the board of assessors. And this gets recorded when you bring it to the deeds. Recorded. When you take with you.
Yes.
That's the one that's recorded. We do need one signed copy, one unsigned.
We don't need Charles.
We keep an unsigned copy for ourselves.
Oh, that's cute. Change
Let me
phones.
sign, I can sign that.
That's yours.
One.
I stole someone's phone. Doesn't even know who it belongs to.
Yes.
Oh. Oh, she went.
Last week she stole my wallet.
Did she get rich?
She still has it.
She got money now.
Joy.
Yeah, I wanted it. Did you go after the?
Okay, do I have a copy for that?
If any problems, we might.
Is any problems?
Thanks a lot. All right.
15 West Main Street, preliminary discussion, potential subdivision filing. The applicant here.
Lauren, you want to grab the mic?
If you're sitting right under that big microphone, and there's not a lot of conversation going, you should be able to hear. I think the problem with the last one was he was here speaking that way, so that microphone wasn't picking it up. The way that these microphones work, unfortunately, it's not tied directly into the Teams thing. It doesn't just go right into the computer. It's amplified in the room from these sound bars that is then easier to pick up from that. So it's not the best, but it's something.
Do they need a board?
That makes sense.
Does that make sense why you couldn't hear?
Yes.
Good evening, for the record, Travis Brown, Turning Point Engineering. With me is Chad Boardman, owner of the property. In here just to informally discuss the property at 15 West Main Street. Up on the board here is a plan that was endorsed, I believe, last fall by this board, creating 5 lots. At this time, the owner is looking to put houses on Lot 1, Lot 3, Lot 4. On this plan, the existing farmhouse here, barn in the back, Lot 2 and Lot 5. So what we've presented and had a few conversations with Michael was development options on this parcel. Originally came in with a potential subdivision, 4 lots. The house would come down, create 4 new lots.
Is that a subdivision? That's frontage lots, right? Those are all.
Yes, yep. So that's the plan that was.
Those are the A&R.
So that just for reference. Yeah, exactly.
So, forgive me on this, so you have 5 or 4 frontage lots, right?
So there's 5 frontage lots, correct?
So planning board approval not required. What is it you're intending to do?
So what we're intending to do on this portion of the property where the existing farmhouse is we're going to reconfigure a portion of Lot 2 and Lot 5 on the plan that I had just shown you. So we would keep the existing house in this scenario. That frontage would be on West Main Street. We would have a second lot with frontage on West Main Street here. Then we would have a third lot with frontage on West Main Street.
Those don't exist today?
Those do not exist today.
So you, okay.
So we're
looking
looking
with a new frontage lot plan, or are you coming in with?
So a couple of things. There would be a new frontage lot plan, but in addition to that, a common driveway. So this shaded area here is generally the location of the existing driveway to the house. So instead of having multiple driveways, buffer zone impacts, more impervious impacts, we're going to run this driveway pretty much the location that existing driveway is, grade. We will have to widen it. That would provide access here to this existing house.
With the, on the top, where's the frontage for that one?
The green?
Yeah.
Yep, so that frontage is over here on, just a minute.
So the front on the top one. where is it?
Frontage here.
No, that one, the other, they got 2 on the right, on the bottom, on the blue. You got,
Yep, so here.
and what's the one behind it? The next one up. What's that frontage?
That's the same lot.
The barn.
So that blue, yeah, that's a barn. That's the existing barn with the existing house.
What's the rectangle behind it way up? Is that-
So that currently has a cesspool for a septic. That would need to be replaced. That would just identify where an upgraded septic system would go for that existing house.
And you need the common driveway because you can't access which lot?
We can access this lot here. We can access this. It would require wetland fill. So what we would do in lieu of that, we would access all 3 lots from this existing drive, which would be widened to a common driveway. But in this scenario, it preserves the existing house. It uses a large portion of the driveway that currently exists. We're adding 2 new houses within the field area, which would require little tree clearing, little grading to make that work. So, based on all the other options and potential subdivision roads, which don't really fit the character of this neighborhood and what, the applicant wishes to do.
The difference between a common driveway and a roadway is just the width. It's the same depth, it's the same finish code, it's the same construction as a roadway.
But we don't need to create the roadway to get frontage, to get more lots. We're not looking at that. If we were looking at a yield, we could get more.
You're taking 3 lots that usually get individual, and you're putting them on one and telling 3 people that they gotta deal with each other now for eternity. I don't like common driveways. Nobody in this town has ever done a common driveway that's been successful over time. And you gotta have a real good reason why they can't access, why this is, for me, for my vote anyway. 3 lots on that, do you have is there a cul-de-sac on that?
There's no cul-de-sac. So in lieu of a cul-de-sac, we would request a waiver for a turnaround, meeting NFPA requirements. I've reached out to the fire chief to try to get their input on that. It meets their code. I have no concern whether they would have an issue with it.
And the reason to put 3 lots on that is wetlands? Three houses, 3 separate houses on one driveway is because you can't access those 2 lots because of wetlands?
No, I can access this lot here, right here. That was shown on the A&R plan.
Okay, there's 1 and there's 2.
This lot over here, without going through the wetland.
That's really the only lot you can't access, correct? Is the one in green?
Yeah, I could access it, but it would require wetland filling, require a whole level of disturbance permitting in the nature.
Against the
Yeah,
disturbance.
or I come in with a new or I come in with the 4-lot subdivision.
Yeah, I agree.
And then the town has to, we design it for the standards of the town. The town has to plow it. It has to do all, 25 years for 2 lots.
You build a subdivision?
It seems simple,
By the rules, they don't improve the neighborhood.
What's that?
If you build a subdivision according to the rules, you wouldn't hurt the property values there at all.
Yeah, we're not saying that, but that would require taking that existing house down. A whole other impact that we're trying to be cognizant of as a historical house. From my understanding, that was built in the 1800s.
Everybody's here. Everybody probably in the audience is here, worried about if I'm going to tear down the existing house or not. It's all about the numbers. I'd love to keep the historic part of that. I'm trying to keep the existing driveway to serve 2 other houses in an area that's already cleared. The driveway remains private. The town has no plowing abilities or anything to do with those lots. It's an easement. More or less, it's a driveway easement.
And it doesn't impact, there's no impacts from any abutters. That's all wetland over here. This is the main part of 140. This is the little horseshoe loop that you can't barely see from 140. There's no detrimental impact, very little land clearing, land disturbance to be able to do this. What the applicant would do is do those houses in white to kind of match what that farmhouse would be. So it fits in with the general neighborhood.
And all the houses would be farmhouse style houses. All of them would be white, and then the contrasting red barn out in the back would be there for aesthetics purposes.
Through the chair, can I just ask a couple questions?
Please do.
Okay. Yeah, we do have a number of people in the audience that know, quite a bit about that house and the barn and what its significance is to the town of Upton. So, thank you for looking at ways to be able to maintain that. I think that was, important to people. And I'm trying to figure out, because Tommy's right. I mean, it's these common driveways in the short time I've been, with the board, they're really difficult because properties do change hands and stuff happens and plowing becomes an issue. But I'm looking at the parcels and having a hard time reading it. So you have the one that the A&R lot right on, and then you have the one that goes through the wetlands.
Yep.
And is the third lot the one with the old house on it, or?
Yeah, so this one
Okay.
outlined in blue would be the parcel with the existing house.
So basically, you theoretically, and I don't know if this is possible, you could have 2 with direct access to West Main Street and 1 going to that third house. So you could do 3 separate driveways rather than a common driveway. Is that correct?
Yeah, 3 separate driveways. Yeah, I mean, we could spike, the common terminology is spike strip it up. And we come in here with a weird plan with all 3,
Yeah, I know.
accesses. I mean, I'm trying to defeat that,
Yeah.
to do that.
Yeah,
That's why I'm in here informally.
There's no workaround there's no different end game than the simplicity of what we're trying to convey. To
And,
minimize impacts, as I said.
and then, so you're here today just to talk about this part, not the rest of the land.
Correct. Yeah, we're just
That's.
We're just looking at
yeah.
this. And, obviously some groundwork had been laid from the previous filings. It kind of worked out that, we're not in a situation where reduced lot frontage, which I think was a big concern maybe of the board. These would be standard frontage lots. Just a single common driveway that's really no longer than the existing driveway. It's about 225 feet, so very short. Doesn't seem like a cul-de-sac jammed in there. The town would want a 225 foot.
That loop, what is the loop off of 140? Is that a town road?
That is a state road.
There's even the loop piece?
Yes.
Yeah, I think it used to be the old 140.
Yes.
But
140.
so then only these houses have access to that loop, basically, right? It's sort of on the main road. It's
Exactly.
back. So
Yeah.
if there were 3 driveways in a row, as much as I can see how that can sometimes be a problem, it's coming onto a tiny, it's not coming out onto 140.
Well, it's still DOT jurisdiction. They will limit, they could limit the curb cuts. They would prefer less.
Questions? More questions from the board first?
Lot outlining green,
Yes.
is there actually a road in front of it? It's hard to tell because it looks like 140 loops.
There's not a paved road in front of that. The main part of 140 keeps going. So you'd come off that main part of
So
140.
you'd be coming off 140, going over state land to get.
But there is an accepted public way, frontage on an accepted public way.
It's on DOT jurisdiction.
Is it an accepted public way?
It is, but it's still on DOT's jurisdiction. We've had recent experience in many scenarios with DOT. Understand that they'd like to limit the curb cuts out on these types of roads.
If you were required for strict compliance, would you be able to put a cul-de-sac in?
In this existing?
Yeah.
I could put a cul-de-sac in there, remove the house, remove the barn, and do 4 new lots. I could show you a yield plan of that. That's not what we're looking to do, but that's what we could do.
And that would dramatically increase the impervious surface presumably in that area.
Right.
Any questions from, go ahead, please.
I just haven't heard what the disposition of.
Give your name.
Oh, I'm sorry, Ellen Island, 54 Ridge Road. I'd like to hear what the plans are for the barn.
In this scenario, we would leave the barn on the existing house lot.
Just to add to that conversation, you know, I've heard, you know, a couple comments on the condition of the house and the barn. So it would be the intention to sell it to someone who'd be willing to restore. Okay.
Anybody else? Or on the phone?
Yeah, that would be our intentions anyways. My poor grandmother, rest her soul, was one of her best friends was actually a bee. So should be rolling over her grave if I tore the house down. So it's our intent to save everything there. And,
On you. You know, looking at this, I think I don't have a problem in this case, Tommy, with looking at a, you know, maybe rather than doing a 111, of doing a longer driveway connecting the second house and the house in the barn. Again, that sort of goes up there anyway. And then, so it is a common driveway for 2 rather than 3. And then doing maybe a direct access to the 3rd lot, if that might be more palatable to people. It's still a common driveway.
If you're not accessing your dwelling through your frontage, I got a problem with that, number one.
Yeah,
So you're gonna build a small road on somebody else's property to get in from the back. I'm not a big fan of this one, but there's other members,
But there is a town bylaw that allows for common driveway and they're applying under that bylaw. As long as we have the bylaw on the books, I think we have to look at what the proposal is that comes in under that bylaw.
Sure, I agree.
Even
And if it's for compliance with that bylaw, I would agree.
You know, and I think if we're looking at the folks in the room and maybe get input from them, what would your preference be if it was between, and, you know, I'm not, you know, I have to hear more, but, and this is just, this was the first discussion, just so people know, it's not a public hearing. this is a discussion to hear what people want and what their views are. I mean, what would your, I'm not the chair, through the chair, Scott. has a
You're
question.
doing fine. Keep going.
Scott, I recognize.
Scott Garland, 238 South Street, Douglas. Mr. Boardman indicated that he's already spoken to the fire department to get an inclination of any concerns that they may have EMS. What was their feedback? And so would the cul-de-sac be relative to issues pertaining to emergency services, or is it for water supply?
Turning around a fire truck mostly, sure. Until it's on fire, and how do we get in there and turn around and get it in park?
But there's a hammerhead there, so, right, going in.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, through the chair, we haven't heard back from the captain yet. I sent the plans over to the administrative staff. I'm waiting to hear back.
Yeah.
What I show on the plan currently meets NFPA turnaround standards with respect to width, length, and radius. I assume that they would be okay, but I don't know for sure.
Yeah, a number of years ago, I think back in 2018, I was in front of the board for a common driveway, which was approved, and we did a hammerhead similar to that, but there might be a new fire chief now, so I'm waiting to hear.
Well, the hammerhead we have put in where it's a sensitive area and very little traffic. Not so sure this is a sensitive area.
Well, I think it's,
I think for the neighbors, it absolutely is.
yeah. I mean, through the chair, I would beg your tip view on this. I think the historical significance of that old farmhouse, which Scott did a lot of research into, I think that's makes it a significant property, and I think
So the requirements for that is to put a common driveway at 18 feet wide, 20-foot wide easement, 3-foot depth, finish coat, binder. That's a lot of work. That's engineering.
they're willing to do it. I mean,
I don't see how that improves your lot. So
No.
it gives you access to your own. But you're not acting.
So I would, just a little clarification. Can I get some clarification on access through the frontage? So if you have a common drive that serves, say, 3 lots, how do all of those lots access through the?
Well, all of them have frontage on the road, right? And we're assuming that your common driveway is for adjacent properties. That's not adjacent property. There's a lot frontage and there's another lot, and then your frontage is through the second lot down, not through side by side. So if you've got, let's say you've got 240 foot of frontage on your lot, or let's say 100 foot frontage, you need 200 feet, 2 lots. So that's 2 driveways within 200 feet.
So if somebody wanted to do a common driveway on one of those to access the second
So
one.
what you do is you just, let's say it's a lake, let's say it's wetlands, and say whatever it is, you can't get in through your frontage. But you're going to have a common driveway in the next lot or the next lot down. And that's gonna go up and around and connect to the property in the back. There is, one of the reasons we wrote the common driveway laws, because that's what happened. There was 5 lots up in there and they all had frontage, but they all got in with 1 driveway. So we wrote this bylaw so that people could do that. I'm not a fan of common driveways.
Let him go first. I'll go after.
Actually, chair.
Yeah, Larry and Carol Baker, we're at 22 Mechanic. So we bought the property here, the hill back there. I just want to say, we would, my family's lived in that old place for like 150 years, I think. And we would appreciate it really if they could keep it up. Somebody told me the barn was kind of beyond repair, but that it would cost a lot to get it back into shape again. But I think that was built in 1805, if I'm not mistaken. It's kind of it's an amazing piece of construction. Anyway, as I'm looking at this, there are 2 homes proposed in that field to the left of the dark area. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. That's not quite down to the pond then, that'd be in that right in the middle field.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just curious, it used to be my driving range. I hate to lose it, but that's great.
David,
What?
These lots, how much on the wetlands, how much of that is wooded? They all,
How much is wooded? So the existing tree line is here.
Okay,
This is, yep, this is all field.
all right. I know where it is then. Okay. What else?
Just a kind of a general question on the common driveways. Does Upton require some sort of, I don't know what you call it, MOA or covenant before the first one is sold so that all of the parties buying them understand their rights and obligations?
Common driveway, yes, it requires, because it has to be maintained, there has to be a homeowners association.
Right.
And it's under the homeowners association, which we have to approve for the access. It would say that that is the responsibility.
And the other thing I'd like to say is just a general comment. And, I think you all fully value the history behind that house, the Aberthair Wood House, and also the people that lived there until it was sold. Great contributors to the town and very important to the history of the town all the way around. So anything that preserves that and is reasonable and conforms or the board approves, as long as the house and the barn stand.
Have you talked to the neighbors at all about this? Have you had a chance to?
Historically?
Well, anybody that's.
No, but I could write certain things in there and into the deed, maybe if I sold it, that maybe if it was always white, has to be always white or something like that, I'm amenable to that stuff.
I don't think the color of the house is the issue, but I would just point out that if either one of those buildings are going to be demolished, that it requires them to go to the historical commission. We have a demolition delay bylaw in town.
Yep, fully understandable.
And just as an FYI, Scott did this wonderful history of the house, like going back to the first person.
Yeah, sorry, I'm friends with them on Facebook.
Oh, okay. Oh, you poor thing.
I saw it the other day, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
I reached out to you, but
So I just thought that.
yeah, I learned a lot. I learned a lot.
Yeah.
Like I said, my grandmother was, she was a teacher for 40-something years in Hopedale. She was a member of the women's club here in Upton. And Bee was one of her best friends and things, so it's my intention to keep the house in historical shape if I can.
We're here to listen to what the neighbors have to say about it. Number one is to make sure you're in zoning, right? Make sure that you're following zoning. But they live there. They may have some good ideas on what to do. And there's any questions from the board or any comments?
I do have a question. I happen to live on the shared driveway. 3 houses, as it turns out. And so the deed basically outlines our obligations to one another. And I agree that we have had our differences over the years, but it's worked out pretty well. But you know what? We signed up for it.
Right.
And I'll say something that was just a matter of the question I had is, so that was language in the deed. You mentioned the homeowners association. Is that what's required now?
There's going to be some type of an agreement between those sharing the driveway for the care, maintenance, and access.
Probably in the deed.
Deed, or it could be a written covenant.
Yeah. We usually do it at a homeowners association, and they're supposed to, pay whatever $50 a month towards snow plowing, salting on the roads.
They have the whole agreement. We just say it has to be.
Which would have been better in our case if we had such an agreement. For getting money on
I would do that to protect myself.
Yep.
So, at the homeowners once I sold.
So what do you need from us tonight? I think the neighbors.
Yeah, it was a big flavor. We heard, the past presentation there. It's a little different, but similar. But the same things, we believe the impact of 2 houses, keeping the existing asphalt in the same location, will make it a little bit wider. And just, the importance of, what your thoughts and, the people, we can listen to the people as well. The audience of historical, but I'm not really changing anything really out there.
We had to use section 310 of the subdivision control of the village driveway.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. I asked the developers if the land that they've cleared to the right of the house, it goes way up in there and they've cleared a bunch of forest out. Is that part of the road that's going to go up into the further development?
It would just be for one single family home.
So you're clearing the land out in preparation for.
Not this land, that would be lot 3.
Yeah, we have
Right.
three in the back of the Mechanic Street.
That's
That's
So that will be a single driveway,
On each.
single house?
Just one house?
just one house off of West Main Street, and then there's the one house off of Mechanic Street. They touch in the back.
And then the rest of the property in the back will be developed. They don't have, nothing's coming.
Nothing's,
No.
we've had some preliminary conversations with Michael about.
Any part of that is the quality of life of the neighborhood, so just be sensitive. I know you are sensitive to the neighbors when you do that.
Just a question on when they go and develop that, we're on the other side of Mechanic Street, would we get notified of that?
It's whatever the distance is according to the assessor's map. The assessors take the project and they measure whether 200 feet, 300 feet from it, and that's how they decide. Yeah.
Because I think there's an A&R lot on Mechanic Street and then us, so it seems like we might not be.
You'd be notified where you are, because you're directly across from the parcel.
Thank you.
Well, I'm not so sure in this case. I just want to be clear. This parcel doesn't actually touch Mechanic Street, so I don't know.
Not for this one.
Oh, future.
Yeah, big one.
Yeah.
Everything that requires not anything, but either special permit or subdivision, not an A and R.
Yeah, A&R is used, yeah.
The special permit is required for the common driveway, that would be under butter notification.
But not for Tom, because Tom doesn't, he lives off the Mechanic in this.
What is that rectangle to the right of the barn up there? It says we recommended existing house lot is up there.
Yeah, so that was just a rough septic area because that old house is on a cesspool. We're gonna have to upgrade that system to meet Title V requirements. That's where that system would
What
go.
old house?
The White House?
Yeah, the existing house.
It's so far away from the house.
Yep.
Wow.
Okay.
So, but your point is going to be, it's in the best interest of the town to waive the cul-de-sac and use the hammerhead. And it's in the best interest of town to not access it because of the wetlands.
Tommy, a little closer to the mic.
I'm just asking, Margaret, that this is, his waiver is going to have to be, it's in the best interest of the town to do so. And that's actually how I would like to put you waiver. It's in the best interest of the town.
The neighbors.
To do those things. Any last questions or,
Although I realize that he's not, that the developer is not required to go to the historical commission, I might suggest that it might be a friendly reassurance to the commission and explain the project and that they're not going to tear down the homes? Or is that too early?
I'm not familiar with that. What is house?
I will send you the.
Oh, yeah.
You want to take that?
Let's go.
Well, it was built, before it was built in 1855, it was just timberland. So Albert Thayer Wood built it in 1855. He was the owner at that time of the local sawmill, box mill, right on the spillway there, fed by Lake Wildwood. There's actually a cut, a raceway in that little section, West Main Street, the little barrel that's there. It's still there. That was cut to bring water from Lake Wildwood to the mill for turning the wheel. There was actually a large barn built on the property also in 1855. That's gone. I think just the foundation.
I was not around then.
That you can still see that foundation still there. It burned at some point. This barn here is very significant. Believed to be built in 1805. and it was owned by Deacon Batchelor, Daniel Batchelor. It was located in West Upton Center. It was moved there about 1861. Harvard Thayer Wood purchased it. So the Wood family, to this day, Russ Wood is a great grandson. There's Woods, Beatrice Wood and Buzzy Wood from William Street, now passed. Their grandson is still on William Street. They headed the family. Eventually, was sold to the Baldwin, which was they were also the descendants. And then Nancy Baldwin, who just passed away more recently, was the last owner of the home, and it was sold to the outfit of Chapman. So it's significant in all kinds of factors for architectural, as well as a contribution for making the boxes to ship the hats all over the country. They were, obviously it was convenient that he was a sawyer, and eventually that went out of business about 1921 when it burned.
He was also a state, right?
Yes, and I think was he a selectman too?
He was a selectman for 14 years, very well respected by William Knowlton and others, Reverend Ball. He was a representative of General Court, and he, unfortunately, at 49 years old, he traveled to Providence in the middle of winter and contracted a severe cold, developed pneumonia, and passed away at 49 years old. So, but it was, Knowlton's actually closed their business for the day, so the employees could attend the funeral. So he was a big deal.
I was in Australia in the mid-70s, and I looked at hat that made in Upton, Mass.
Yeah. Really?
Yeah, the William Knowlton Hat Shop was the largest manufacturer of men and women's hats from about 1866 to about right about World War I. And then they went out of popularity. Women stopped wearing hats as much, and yeah, it never recovered after that. But we're very fortunate. Look at it now. It's built house apartments.
I see, you can see.
I just have another quick question for you, Scott. You had mentioned the woods, and I didn't know the woods were associated with that, but that square at the end of Mechanic Street, it's a memorial to the woods. Is that because of was that placed there? Does it, because of their affiliation with that part of the town, or was that just randomly put there because there was an empty square?
Oh, help me with that.
Yeah, those memorials, there's several throughout town that were in memory of World War II vets, and that was the one that honored Russ Wood's father.
Yeah, who was killed in action.
Yeah, but was that put in that site because of their relationship with that parcel, or was that just?
I think just because that was Wood.
That one was available.
I think that they located them pretty generally to areas where the families had lived or had an association.
We know who's next.
Yeah. But anyway, that's.
I mean, I can offer, the house is in pretty decent shape inside, so, in the next couple of weeks, maybe I can organize a tour if anybody want to go through there,
That would
take
be
pictures,
super cool.
document.
How many people can you?
It's a big house.
Yeah, so before anybody does get in there and maybe, put their personal taste in it, it's pretty period for the most part in there. So it'd be nice to document and everything. So.
The Beatties used to open their home every year at Christmas and have an open house. It was great.
Could play the
But-
piano this time.
Yeah, no, not me. But I just would say too, get it. Went out of my head. I'm still on the piano from Nancy playing the piano.
Are you gonna come in with a plan? What kind of plan you coming in with?
Yeah, that's what I wanted to clarify with you, Michael, procedurally, just a common driveway application, special permit application is all we're.
Well, you already have the lots.
Was the interlock approved?
These are great.
Yeah, there would be new ones, yeah.
Reconfigured.
Reconfigure those two.
Reconfigured.
But they have square footage.
Yeah.
And previously approved, furnish did not change, furnish did you change the,
Well, we changed the configuration.
Yeah.
Of lot 2 was like, came up here and then it hooked around and went that way. Then the house kind of went over here. So we're just reconfiguring those two. New frontage that meets the requirement, area that meets the requirement.
What's different about the green? Is there other houses?
Yeah, there's a single family home on this lot.
And so that home will pretty much fit in, it'll be part of the neighborhood, would you?
Yeah, it's way up on the hill too, yeah, the topo.
Yeah, that house is up in here.
So, your opinion is,
Yes.
yeah.
So you can see the house from your house. Yeah, you're on the meadow. Okay, that's you.
Is that your house that they're talking about, that's high on the hill? She has all great flowers on it.
Tom, if there, through the chair, if there's, if the frontage lots that are proposed, where I think we're adding two.
Well, essentially adding one from the A&R, really.
Sure, so it was 1 or 2 either, but there would still be frontage lots that would require, with the approval of a special permit, common driveway that they're proposing, just the accompanying A&R plan showing the changes, right? Because they're creating a lot.
You're gonna need 2 new A&Rs to be filed. That's 3 signatures and just has to be zoning, and your common driveway is gonna be a special permit with 4 signatures required. For the special. Like I said, I'm not a big fan, but if the neighborhood's okay with it and you can convince the board that this is the business of the town to do it this way.
And how are you gonna let people know about the tour?
Yeah.
I'll work with
Yeah. Thank you.
Right.
Lawrence, you have the,
What pressure?
But I forgot.
So.
Get into the house is gonna sit.
we have on that, yeah.
One here and one here. Yep, that's here, there, and then you have the existing house to begin the second.
Built stuff last year.